Do you have conversations that you're kind of putting off? Maybe one that makes your heart pound just a little bit when you're thinking about it. Maybe you're imagining all the ways that it could go wrong. And so you keep pushing it further and further down your to-do list, and eventually you'll get to it. If you've been stuck in that kind of cycle of dread or avoidance, then this video is for you. If we haven't met before, my name is Christina. I'm a women's empowerment coach, and I help women find their words, feel heard, and step into their power. There are many different types of conversations that can feel tricky. Things like setting boundaries with a family member, to negotiating at work, or even just clearing up a misunderstanding with a friend. What I think often makes those conversations so intimidating is the uncertainty and the fear of the unknown. A lot of us have a tendency to play out every negative scenario in our head, and then our brain is like, well, okay, so I want to protect you from that. Let's just not do that. Let's avoid that, right? So from my own experience, I know that feeling of avoiding something, I know that feeling because I wasn't 100% sure how I would be received or how the other person would react or how things would end up, and I think it's natural for us to feel that way from time to time. It's also pretty common to project our own fears onto others, imagining that they'll react a certain way, usually negatively. In my last two videos, I talked about how it's not up to us how another person receives something. And usually, really, it ends up that they don't feel the exact same way that we're imagining anyway. So, what can we do to help ourselves approach these topics and conversations that we're dreading or that we're avoiding? For me, it's taken years and years of trial and error, personally, but now I've got one more powerful method to share with you. And now I'm equipped and I know from experience. The key, I think, to stepping into tricky situations and feeling powerful and confident about it is not to ignore what we think will be the worst, but to prepare for it. I love this quote by Zig Ziglar. Expect the best, prepare for the worst, capitalize on what comes. It's not about being pessimistic. It's about building your unshakable confidence that you can handle anything. So, how can we do that? Here's two quick steps. Number one, get clear on your worst fear. Give yourself a moment to identify the conversation you're dreading. Let your mind go there. What's the absolute worst possible outcome that you can imagine? Don't hold back. Write it down, say it out loud, face it. So, example questions you could ask yourself. What's the most negative thing that they could say or do? Another question is, what's the worst impact that the end of this conversation could have on our relationship? Or what's the worst outcome for me personally? Now, step two. Mentally, when you have that worst outcome, like what is it? Step two is mentally walk through that worst outcome. Once you've identified your absolute worst case scenario, walk it through. Imagine it happening. What would your immediate reaction be? What would you do or say in response? And how could you recover from it? This isn't about dwelling on negativity. It's about developing a plan for resilience and confidence. When you've considered the absolute worst and you realize that you have a strategy to navigate it, the fear of the unknown, it doesn't seem so big. You can gain a sense of control and preparedness. Bonus, what actually ends up happening likely won't even be anywhere near as bad as what you were expecting, but you feel prepared. So let me tell you a personal story. In my last video, I talked about this in depth, but I want to look at it from a different angle. I was hyper focused on this small, super small chance that I might run into a friend that I had a falling out with. I found myself looking over my shoulder. If I thought I saw the silhouette of someone who looked like her, or if I heard a voice that was similar to hers, I was checking. I was worried. When I realized how much this was affecting me, I turned and I faced the issue. I got clarity on what I was actually scared of. And then I got clear on what I wanted the outcome to be. You know, like, let's say it came true. Well, what would I want to actually happen? And honestly, you know, I thought, okay, worst case scenario, like, oh, what would be the worst thing? And I thought, okay, well, like, I was afraid that she might, like, physically attack me, but yet at the same time, it was like, is that what would happen? So it boiled down to this. What would she say if we cross paths? And how would I want to leave this type of conversation? So for me, the specific worst case I was preparing for was something, you know, super confrontational. As far as my mind was concerned, like, she was going to spit on me. It was going to be a physical fight. She was going to yell at me. But then I asked myself, what are the actual chances of that happening? And right there, when I asked myself and wanted to put things into perspective, I dismantled what I thought I was scared of. And then, okay, but then I was like, okay, well, but it could still be awkward. Sure. You know, so I just want to avoid the whole thing. Well, no. What if I got clear on my position around the falling out and how I would stand my ground if she did come at me? Even, you know, not physically, but just like if she brought it up, if she asked me, hey, what was that about? I knew that I wasn't going to try to convince her. I decided that if she approached me, I knew that I was going to have an air of, like, pleasant casualness, like, it was what it was. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I'm also, like, I'm sorry, not sorry, in a way. So when I got that clarity on, well, what would I do? How would I react? I'm telling you, this was a huge breakthrough for me. When I got clear on that and how I would navigate it, the dread went away. And by the way, I have yet to run into her. But I still have the security in knowing where I sit and how I would handle it. And it's just that feeling of preparedness is so powerful. So I really feel like when you anticipate the worst and you prepare for it, you strip it of its power. You don't have to live in the shadow of dread. Instead, you can walk in armed with confidence and a plan, and then you can capitalize on what comes. Now, for those of you who are starting to speak up for yourself and you're needing a little bit of a boost, I created 5 powerful affirmations that you can use immediately to help you rewire your thought process so that you can feel empowered in these types of situations. You can stop dreading and worrying and start standing in your power when this type of thing comes up. If you'd like to get a free copy of my affirmations, here's how you can do that. For Facebook and YouTube, there is a link either in the description of this video or in the comments. If you're watching this on Instagram, comment me and I will get in touch with you. I know what it's like to avoid certain conversations, and that's more anxiety than anybody needs in their life. I'm speaking from experience when I say that you don't have to live like that, even if it is actually genuinely scary. And I've got you. So if you haven't already, comment me or find the link near this video to get your copy of my 5 powerful affirmations to empower your voice and speak with confidence. Talk to you soon.